Great to have you. Rush Limbaugh back behind the golden EIB microphone. And once again, the distinguished and prestigious Attila the Hun Chair here at the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. Telephone number if you want to be on the program, 800-282-2882, and the email address, lrushbaugh@eibnet.com. A little distracted here today, folks, but I want to try to make some sense out of what's going on here at the Supreme Court, because there's so much of this punditry and the predictions just all over the ballpark. And I keep falling back to one crystal clear reality to me. And even yesterday, I found myself getting caught up in this whole game. The whole game. Look at what we're doing here. I know a number of you people agree with me here. I've talked to a number of you and my friends. We're losing this country. I mean, it's dangling over the precipice here. And yet, we're all succumbing, and it's hard not to. Don't miss this is not a criticism. We're all succumbing to playing the standard game every day and talking. For example, here we have the constitutionality of Obamacare. And the narrative and the template for discussing it is set. And it boils down to one thing. How's Anthony Kennedy going to vote? Can you believe that? That's where we are. That's where all of the punditry is going. That's where all of the prognostication center is. What is Justice Kennedy going to do? It's not a criticism of him by any stretch. But here we are, a nation of 311 million people. By the way, there's something else that you need to know. There aren't 50 million uninsured. There aren't 42 million uninsured. There aren't 30 million uninsured, and there never have been. There's an AP story today. I found it in the Las Vegas Review-Journal, but you know what the total number of people without health insurance is? When you factor the fact that everybody gets treated at the emergency room by law anyway, the number of Americans out of a population of just north of 300 million is 15 million people. We're doing all of this for 15 million people. And those 15 million people are young or wealthy and have chosen not to buy health insurance. And we're doing all of this. We're about, if we're not careful, we are going to lose this country, and we are going to shred the Constitution in ways that it can't be put back together. And that is the objective of today's leftist movement and its members of the Democrat Party. That's the objective, is to shred this Constitution, get rid of it once and for all. Ruth Bader Ginsburg over in Egypt telling people that putting together a Constitution there that don't look at ours, aren't enough human rights concerns in there. There's not enough provisions in our Constitution for what government can do, because government's all good, government's all powerful, government's all benevolent, and there's nothing in the U.S. Constitution for you. So we have this legislative debacle, this monstrosity, this worthless piece of legislation that is going to rip the fiber out of this country, all for 15 million people who have chosen not to have health insurance. Not because the country's unjust and unfair and has millions of people who are dying to get medical treatment but can't. That's such a crock. You need medical treatment in this country, you get it. Even if you can't afford it, you go to the emergency room or a walk-in clinic or what have you. And then furthermore, everybody's trying to prove how smart they are by predicting what Anthony Kennedy's going to do. One guy. This whole case hinges on what one guy does. And then after this one guy votes, and the reason I say that one guy, because a lot of people think John Roberts is going to go with the fact that it's constitutional, based on what he said yesterday. And a lot of people think Kennedy is going to vote against it. A lot of other people think Kennedy's going to go vote for it, because Kennedy signaled he'd go either way on it yesterday. At the beginning of the oral arguments, that's when the left was panicking, calling it a train wreck. At the end of the proceedings yesterday, wait a minute now, Kennedy, he could flip here. Kennedy said some things that I find it ridiculous we're caught up in it this way. And I don't know. It's also a little disconcerting to me that so many people are so caught up in it and enjoy being caught up as though it's nothing more than an intellectual exercise. And that when it's all over, what's at stake here is who can say, I was right and I predicted it when it's wrong. Who can say, you blew it, you didn't know what you were doing, you weren't as smart as I am. In the meantime, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the country going in a direction that you and I never envisioned it going. Something else that struck me. I made a note to myself yesterday, and I sent it to some friends of mine. Something I didn't expect to happen is happening. This case, as it's being discussed and argued according to this template and narrative that I just described, is providing an opportunity to illustrate the genuine intellectual vacancy, corruption, and immorality of liberalism in general. This case, and because of the punditry, and because of all the commentariat, both on the air and in blogs and on print, is demonstrating the abject ignorance and stupidity of people on the left. Some of the questions asked by Justice Sotomayor yesterday are mind-bogglingly. Why can't we just let Congress decide? They did. That's what this is all about, Madam Justice. What do you mean, why can't we let Congress decide? They did. What do you think you're doing? Ginsburg, our Constitution is not worth anything anymore. We need the emerging nations don't need to look to the U.S. No. It's defective. Elena Kagan. I'm going to rein myself in here. I'm not really. I don't want to make any of this personal. These people, she hasn't lived in the real world. They don't, other than when they were students, they don't have any relatability to people outside of academia, which is where the utopians are. Academia is where the utopian statists are, the theoreticians, the people who sit around and look outside the academy. They think, boy, how dumb those people are, how backwards, what a bunch of hicks and hayseeds. And they sit around, talk to each other, theorize, and if they were in power, how they'd make everything fair and everything just and everything proper and all this gobbledygook that's never worked anywhere in the world. And then they go home, put on their Che Guevara T-shirts, and we, oh my God, what's happening to the country? I marvel all of these legal minds on the left, be they network experts, law professors, or whatever, who, up until yesterday, apparently never even considered the possibility that the individual mandate in the Commerce Clause is unconstitutional. They never even considered it. And now, when they hear oral arguments that, for the first time apparently, hit them upside the head that it might be unconstitutional, they are literally flabbergasted. Not surprised because they're disappointed. They are genuinely, they haven't considered this. They're stymied. And I think, what kind of mind do you have to have, and how closed must it be to be shocked to your very core by the possibility that the Supreme Court might find this law unconstitutional? Here's the My point is that so many of us, and myself included, but I try to distance myself from it and try to not succumb and get caught up in the daily narrative and template of whatever the issue is that's being discussed. But these are not the smartest people in the world. In fact, they're not even half as smart as the people who make the country work, and yet they are considered to be intellectual elites. And so even the intellectuals on our side grant them an intellectual level that they don't deserve. They are not that smart. And this whole episode's demonstrating this to me. This whole episode, just one day yesterday. And gosh, I hope people are really paying attention. I don't know how many are. I don't know what the odds are that a lot of people are. I have no clue. But it is paramountly obvious that the so-called smartest people among us are not even C students in life. They're not even C students in getting up and making things work. And our side engages them as though they're smarter than we are. And we have to, and I'm talking about the intellectual elites on our side. And what is their objective? Their objective is to impress these people. Their objective is to I got to make sure I'm not considered one of these far right wingers. I got to make sure I criticize Beck or Limbaugh, or Levin, or whoever, so that these intellectual elites on the left will not think I am one of them. And I have come to the conclusion that they aren't worth impressing. You can't anyway. They're so arrogant. You can't impress these people. Remember yesterday I told you that I was surprised to learn some years ago how the Supreme Court does not operate? I learned that the justices do not sit in a room and debate each other and try to persuade each other. Everything's done in writing. And when I learned this, I was shocked. And it's from a very inside source. It's right in that room source. I was shocked. I said, I actually thought that you guys sat around and after you voted, you discuss these cases. Maybe not debate them, but you discuss. No, I'm not going to waste my time. They're not going to change their minds on this. They're not going to change their minds on anything. I'm not going to try to change their mind. And I tell you that only to illustrate again the arrogance that exists. We, of course, are open to changing our mind. We are open to showing how open-minded we are. They don't care a whit about demonstrating that they're open-minded. They can't demonstrate they're open-minded because they're not. Everybody going out of our way on our side to try to impress these people who are being demonstrating themselves to be unworthy of the kind of respect or awe, I should say, that some on our side grant them. This really is an opportunity to demonstrate how totally out of touch with reality all of these people on the left, legal experts, media commentators, whoever they are out of touch. They're not even 25% as smart as they think they are. And it's what frustrates me about people on our side who accord these people high intellectual status in dealing with them. And so what we have now is basically a classroom exercise going on, but not in a classroom. It's happening in the country. But in the classroom, the outcome stays there, and all it ever is an intellectual exercise. This is real life that's being trampled with here, or tampered with. And it's all apparently going to come down to one man in a constitutional republic of 311 million people. And the smartest people in the room are trying to prove that they're the smartest people in the room by predicting which way this one man is going to go. Well, I want to take it a little farther. There are 3 potential outcomes here. And 2 of these outcomes I can see as big wins for the left and for Obama. When you look at what they want. What is it they want? They don't want a mandate. They don't want the mandate to be said to be constitutional. I mean, they'll take it, but that's not what their objective is. Their objective is the abolition of private sector health insurance as an industry and the creation of a single-payer healthcare system with them in charge. Nowhere else for anybody to go to get health insurance but to them. And in so doing, they can regulate every aspect of our lives. That's what they want. So, you have to look at it from this perspective. If they lose this case, if the mandate's found to be unconstitutional, how does that move the ball forward for them? There is a way. There are a couple of ways, in fact. I'll explain when we get back.
This is the big one. Rush on the EIB network. Most Americans don't realize that kids are a real drag on the economy, and that's why Nancy Pelosi, as part of the Obama stimulus package, is releasing her new DVD, Don't Do It, with helpful advice from Nancy about contraception for young adults.
After you have applied the glue and the staples, take the condom and apply it to the cucumber gently like this.
Oh, let's just hold hands.
Okay.
As part of the recovery package, the Don't Do It DVD will be required viewing in fertility clinics nationwide.
Motherhood is a wonderful thing, but are you sure you want to bring another child into this world during a recession? What's its carbon footprint? Remember, if your child eats, somewhere another child goes hungry.
When Nancy's Don't Do It DVD is broadcast nightly across the country, it'll be guaranteed to give everyone a headache and couples more cash to stimulate the economy.
Oh no, she's pole dancing again. Let's just go to the mall.
Okay.
So if you're in the mood, try Nancy Pelosi's Don't Do It DVD, the most effective contraceptive ever. Do you have trouble being taken seriously?
How did you know?
Do you long for that certain special something lacking in your voice?
Uh-huh.
Do you want to make your average thoughts and ideas seem powerful and gifted?
Yeah.
Well, now you can have that confident, authoritative, God-like sound wherever you go with the Obamatron Verberator Pro. The Obamatron Verberator Pro is the only portable reverberation device personally endorsed by Barack Obama because it's so simple to use. Just implant the tiny sensor.
Wait.
And you can set your Verberator Pro for any occasion. Choose from Stately.
Wow, that is different. I feel so presidential. I come before you today to ask you for one of those tiny umbrellas for my drink.
Canyon.
Hello.
And for large egos, Der Führermeister.
I have led the accounting department to new and greater heights.
This holiday season, give the gift that no one can forget, the Obamatron Verberator Pro. The Verberator Pro is not for everybody on your list.
Some enchanted evening, you will see a stranger.
And may become annoying after a short period of time.
Looking good, huh? I'm talking about me.
Now a message in the public interest about PTSD, pre-traumatic stress disorder.
Does anyone you know attend a radical mosque with a jihadist imam? Does he or she attempt to reach out to Al-Qaeda? Say inflammatory things online or at the workplace about America, the great Satan? At first you might think they could be an Islamic terrorist nutjob. but they are just suffering from PTSD, pre-traumatic stress disorder.
Pre-traumatic stress disorder is caused by the stress one experiences from George W. Bush's mistaken attempt to defend our country against terrorism by sending troops overseas.
So before you jump to conclusions and get all judgmental about people who act differently than you, remember, gunning down random soldiers and shouting Allahu Akbar may just be a cry for help.
This message about pre-traumatic stress disorder brought to you by the Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano, who's more worried about offending terrorists than protecting you.
Here's another example what I'm talking about, sort of. Politico, breaking news. Today, by the way, the court was dealing with severability, and that's key, by the way, in determining how can Obama and the Democrats get what they want by having the mandate determined unconstitutional. Frankly, I think we ought to listen to James Carville. James Carville's telling us what the Democrats want. They won't mind they lose this mandate. That just speeds them along even faster to single payer as the only solution. Breaking news. Politico. The Supreme Court struggled Wednesday with the question of how much of President Obama's health care law to salvage if justices throw out the individual mandate. Most of the justices appeared opposed to tossing out the entire law, but their views of how much to keep in place were murky and didn't break down along conservative and liberal lines. Okay, so we're going to go now from one person determining whether or not the mandate's constitutional to the entire bunch of nine telling us what part of the law they think's okay and what parts aren't. And everybody's breathlessly waiting like a bunch of starved dogs waiting to be fed. Oh, it's the reality that we live in. I'm just observing. I'm not complaining about it per se because it's been this way for a long time. Things are different now. The nation hangs in the balance of what happens here with these nine people. So the justices, if they throw out the mandate, now they appear opposed to tossing out the whole thing. But see, it can't survive without the mandate. The mandate is the funding mechanism. So if the judges throw out the mandate but leave enough of the law in, the Democrats who run Congress, if they're still going to run it, are going to have a simple solution to this. Medicare for everybody, single payer, done and over.
And now, Saving the World with Al Gore Jr.
Hello, this is Albert Gore Jr. And as I said in the New York Times, I, for one, genuinely wish that the climate crisis were an illusion. But unfortunately, the reality of the danger we are courting has not been changed by the discovery of at least two very small mistakes in the thousands of pages of careful scientific research. Small mistakes happen every day. Ask Charlie Rangel. He went on vacation and had no idea who was paying for it. Nancy Pelosi thought it was okay to fly friends and family and associates to Washington and to Copenhagen so that they could be near her. Honest mistakes happen all the time. Ask Governor Patterson, who sent a couple of state troopers to a woman's house to deliver a Hallmark card of sympathy, and it was mistakenly caught up in the press as some sort of threat. Well, I say all that to say this. that honest mistakes are made every day by Democrats everywhere. What's a few degrees in temperature either way? Cut me some slack.
Join us next time as we once again save the world with Al Gore Jr. Now a message from President Barack Obama about today's ATF.
My fellow Americans, in the past, the ATF just regulated the sale of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Pretty boring. But under my administration, we've expanded their mandate to boost the nation's economy with cool new programs like Operation Fast and Furious, where we sold over 2,500 illegal firearms on the Mexican border in record time. Operation Blackout. To help sell new cars, we gave away free cases of liquor to anyone buying a government motors car with a DUI conviction and a suspended license. And Operation Puff More. We need a new generation of smokers to pay taxes. So we rewarded Atlanta school children for their good grades with a carton of smokes.
Today's modern Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Who knows what they'll do next?
Owner, put that bottle down and leave that alone.
Do you have trouble being taken seriously?
How did you know?
Do you long for that certain special something lacking in your voice?
Uh-huh.
Do you want to make your average thoughts and ideas seem powerful and gifted?
Yeah.
Well, now you can have that confident, authoritative, God-like sound wherever you go with the Obamatron Verberator Pro. The Obamatron Verberator Pro is the only portable reverberation device personally endorsed by Barack Obama because it's so simple to use. Just implant the tiny sensor.
Wait.
And you can set your Verberator Pro for any occasion. Choose from Stately.
Wow, that is different. I feel so presidential. I come before you today to ask you for one of those tiny umbrellas for my drink.
Canyon.
Hello, 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 hello.
And for large egos, Der Führermeister.
I have led the accounting department to new and greater heights.
This holiday season, give the gift that no one can forget, the Obamatron Verberator Pro. The Verberator Pro is not for everybody on your list.
Some enchanted evening, you will see a stranger.
And may become annoying after a short period of time.
Looking good, huh? I'm talking about me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we simply cannot be defeated in the arena of ideas. It's been my point from the get-go. We're up against a people who are not nearly as smart as we think they are. We're up against a bunch of people who are not nearly as important as they think they are. And we certainly are not up against a bunch of people upon whom the rest of us can rely. You are the people who make this country work. The people that we're talking about can't get anything done unless they have the force of government behind them making it happen. We are up against the forces of tyranny. And when the forces of tyranny start tasting the solidification in power, then anybody who opposes them has become an enemy, must be silenced, must be shut down. And how? With the full force of government. This is a truism that remains. And that's who we're up against. These people cannot defeat us without first securing the power of government to give them the strength to actually squash us. Take them away from that hold and they can't compete with us. In the arena of ideas, in an open discussion of policy, debating issues, or what have you. As this oral argument stuff is demonstrating here. This state, or the Solicitor General, the government's lawyer, You ought to see some, the liberal blogs dumping all over this guy. White House is going both ways. The White House is defending him, and in other places that they're dumping on him. He's incompetent. He was stumbling. He didn't know what he was. He's got something that's indefensible here. This Verrilli guy is trying to defend something that's intellectually indefensible. The only way he can defend this is to manufacture a number of white lies about what the intent was and what the ultimate objective is. This is not anything anybody could look good trying to do, or very few could. And we have these people outnumbered and we have them outbrained, but nobody knows it. Nobody thinks it. And so the attitude incumbent with the confidence that derives from it is simply missing. Take a look at what's happening. We have an economy that is in tatters. We do not have any economic growth to speak of. Certainly not one that designates a recovery taking place. The job creation that's happening is a myth. We have lost 2 million jobs since Obama was inaugurated. I don't care how many they claim they're adding week to week. We have lost 2 million jobs and we have not replaced them. We're in a net negative situation and it's not changing. We have the president driving this country into debt, investing in worthless, unproductive technologies that are going bankrupt. We have a president claiming credit for the Keystone Pipeline, which has not happened. We have Spike Lee tweeting a wrong address, supposedly where George Zimmerman is, but a couple in their 70s lived there, and they've had to flee their homes because the new Black Panthers have a bounty on George Zimmerman that's now up to $28,000 or $30,000. Nobody's saying anything about this. But let somebody on the right utter something that's simply disagreeable, and here come the forces of tyranny. Shut them down. But there's no attempt to quell any of this really powder keg situation in Florida. Remember how hysterical everybody was after Gabrielle Giffords was shot in Arizona. You remember that hysteria? They blamed Sarah Palin. They blamed me. They blamed talk radio in general. They talked about all the words that people were using that might have incited this gunman. They talked about all the conservatives and their words that no doubt incited this guy. We got presidential speeches on civility. We were told that we had to start respecting each other and getting along with each other. We had to stop this incendiary language, which wasn't happening. There was no incendiary language that preceded the shooting in Arizona. Now, and where was it? Some Obama supporter, what was it, trying to take out Joe Arpaio? Some self-proclaimed Obama fanatic had plans to take out the sheriff in Maricopa County. Not a word from the drive-bys about the lack of civility. Not a word about Obama responsible for a potential assassination of Joe Arpaio. Not a word. And the new Black Panther Party with a bounty that's now into its 5th or 6th day, and there hasn't been a word from the administration of the Justice Department or anybody in authority to stop it. Not a word. Our president has failed to speak out and put a stop to this illegal and depraved bounty on an American citizen who hasn't been charged with anything yet, by the new Black Panther Party. Obama has said nothing about Spike Lee tweeting out a street address to help the Black Panther bounty hunters hunt down and kidnap an American citizen. He hasn't said anything about Spike Lee tweeting the wrong address. Spike Lee hasn't withdrawn the tweet. It's a 72-year-old couple who don't even know what's going on, who were being terrorized by people showing up at their house. The elderly people are at present hiding out in a motel. It is said in fear for their lives. Obama has said nothing about Harry Reid, who proudly failed to pass a budget in the Senate that he controls, despite our $16 trillion budget. Obama, nor anyone else, has said anything about Obamacare costing at least twice as much as he claimed when he first sold it. Nor has he been challenged with evidence that the CBO's estimate that Obamacare will cause 3 to 5 million people lose their employer-provided health insurance. Everything he said wouldn't happen is going to happen, and nobody's asking. Mr. President, you said premiums go down $2,500. Mr. President, you said if you like your doctor, you keep your doctor. Mr. President, you said if you like your health insurance plan, you get to keep. No questions. All those are going to go by the wayside. No questions. No demand that he explain. When he hadn't done a thing wrong, George Bush was harangued for 45 minutes of a 1-hour press conference. Are you going to apologize? Are you going to apologize, Mr. President? Are you going to admit your mistakes? President Obama, President of the United States of America, has not spoken out against the riots, the rapes, the arson, the other assorted crimes emanating from the Occupy Wall Street encampments that he, in fact, has all but endorsed. We have genuine lawlessness, chaos, and within the confines of Occupy Wall Street, genuine anarchy. We have pestilence, disease. We have people dropping feces on police cars, and not a word is said about it. Not a word from any quarter is said about it. No, we're to understand this is the real power, we're told. A Tea Party, they're the hooligans. The Tea Party, they're the depraved. These Occupy people, that's a genuine grassroots movement, we're told. It's supported, it's promoted, Democrat Party, the media, White House, you name it. And I don't understand one American wanting this man reelected. I do not understand it. I don't understand how Barack Obama even has a chance. But he does. And that tells us where we are. It's no wonder that the Democrats block voter ID laws and push for legislation allowing felons the right to vote, because they know if the election were held today, he doesn't stand much of a chance. Nobody will tell you that. I will. That's how bad it is for him. But you're not allowed to know that. And the people who know it are not dare going to say it. And that's why we're not hearing any criticism of the new Black Panther bounty, of Spike Lee's tweet forcing innocent 72-year-olds out of their homes in fear for their lives. We're not going to hear about it because normally these are the kind of things that happen in a country. This kind of unrest, festering effervescence, boiling over, usually end up at the doorstep of the White House. That can't be allowed to happen this time. But Fox News has got to be shut down. All the advertisers of this show, Fox News, they've got to be intimidated into walking away. Small business, perfect. Destroy them. Don't let them advertise. Don't let them advertise their businesses, their wares, their services. The forces of tyranny here at work. And now I circle back to the Supreme Court and the oral arguments over this health care law. And what I want to know is, particularly from our side, where is the outrage it's even gotten this far? Where is the attempt to tell the American people what's in store for them if this thing actually gets fully implemented? It's not an intellectual exercise, my friends. This is not a classroom assignment, a classroom game where when it's all over, we leave the classroom and head on down to McDonald's. This is going to fundamentally, foundationally change the relationship that each one of us has with government. And the first thing that will vanish is individualism and freedom. That's going to be the nature of the change, the relationship between a citizen and government. And that's what today's Democrat Party wants. The media, the American left, the worldwide left, the United Nations, Fidel Castro, Hugo Chavez, that's what they want. Joe Biden was right. One time in his life, when he said Obamacare is a BFD, he was right.
Rush Limbaugh. First to speak out for America on the EIB network. Now, Albert Gore Jr. with one more way you can save the planet.
Instead of driving, try riding your bicycle to work and simplify your life. If only 1 in 5 Americans did this, we would save 196 billion barrels of oil every day. Ride a bike created from recycled metal from a manufacturer that uses at least 50% solar or wind power. Instead of air, try filling your tires with CO2 by blowing them up with your lips, like a balloon, trapping this dangerous greenhouse gas. Don't forget to reduce your use of harmful plastics by going seatless. You'll be surprised at the results of taking plastic out of your carbon footprint. Be sure and wear proper earth-friendly attire. Create your own hand-knitted shorts from discarded dryer lint, gathered from the dumpster behind your local washateria. Create nifty sandals from newspaper, and rubber bands, and twist ties, and pieces of string that you find along...
You're over time, we need to cut!
We can't cut it anymore. I won't have time to tell them how to simplify their life.
So why has the economy been so bad during President Obama's first term? It's no accident. It's economic sabotage. The new blockbuster hit from Axelrod Productions. Even as President Obama was being sworn in,
I, Barack Obama, do silently swear that I will uphold the...
Republicans were starting to sabotage the economy.
Psst. Hey, tank the economy. Pass it down.
Then they misled the president to further destroy the American economy.
So, you think I shouldn't worry about unemployment? Just focus on Obamacare, raise taxes, go crazy with regulation, and run up $3 trillion in debt?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Well, okay.
And now, they're recklessly forcing the president to cut government spending or else.
But if I cut government spending, old people will die, and polar bears will be cold.
So what?
Economic sabotage. David Axelrod says, it's the best thing we could come up with. Anthony Weiner says, no comment. And George Soros says, it's unbelievable.
And stupid.
Economic sabotage. The biggest conspiracy to hit D.C. since the Bilderbergs and the Queen of England stole J. Edgar Hoover's brain. Economic sabotage in select theaters and art houses everywhere. Now a message from the John F.
Got an email recently from a relatively new friend. lives overseas and knows only of the Sandra Fluck incident by virtue of the media. See, sometimes you can be so angry, and I know that's not who you are, went the email. I wrote back, I'm not angry. I'm scared. I am seriously frightened for the future of my country. And I am a target because I desire to maintain the country as founded. I have become a target for that reason. I'm scared. Not for myself. I'm scared for the country. I'm scared for every freedom-loving, blessed by God, decent citizen in this country. I'm frightened over where we're headed. Not mad. Damn well ought to be. Here's Jeff Toobin, by the way. He's even worse shape today than he was yesterday. Yesterday was a train wreck. Today it's a plane wreck. He's on CNN. They didn't put him on with Wolf Blitzer. I think Wolf needed smelling salts after today. So they put him on with Don Lemon, another anchor, who said, you've been referring to the healthcare argument Supreme Court's a train wreck, possibly now a plane wreck, saying the whole law is in jeopardy. What's going on, Jeffrey?
The question is, does the whole law go? And there are clearly people on that court, Antonin Scalia and Justice Alito, who think the whole law should go. Chief Justice Roberts and certainly all the liberals were at least trying to keep alive the possibility that some of this 2,700-page law would stand. But there is considerable sentiment on this court that it's just all one big package, and it needs to be gotten rid of altogether, which is a stunning turn of events.
Jeffrey, it is one big package, 2,700 pages. You notice how surprised he is, genuinely, intellectually, IQ-wise, surprised that anybody could find this thing objectionable. He's literally bowled over. He never considered that people he considers to be his intellectual equals would ever see this as anything other than utopia. He really is beside himself, and he's not alone on the left. They might throw the whole thing out. No. But the question still, Jeffrey, where are you on the substance of this? Do you even care? Jeffrey, do you even know what the substance of this bill is? Because as smart as you think you are, you ought to be among those who understand this thing is terrible for the United States of America. I know you're looking at it, whether it's good or bad for Obama, but what about for the country? Have you, Jeffrey, have you looked at it? Have any of you people really looked at this and understand exactly what a disaster in the making it is? Have you ever asked yourselves why you're defending it? Why do you hope it's constitutional? Is it so that Obama prevails? Is that reason enough? 2,700 pages so Obama prevails? What about the country? What about your own freedom? Does it not matter to you, Jeff? That's what I don't understand about these people.
More mind-boggling coming up on the EIB network. Now, you can drive your SUV guilt-free.
You can buy carbon offsets from EIB and continue to drive whatever you want to drive. Just don't change anything. We'll handle it for you.
Don't ask about the details.
Just trust us.
No need to change your affluent lifestyle.
We will take steps here at the EIB network to reduce carbon footprints so that yours can remain as large as you want it to be.
All this is yours for 4 easy payments of $25,000.
And all you have to do is pay us, say $100,000.
Hurry, this offer ends soon.
$100,000 and you can live guilt-free.
Watch the sitcom everybody in the media is talking about. Leave It to Barry, the daily story of that cute, cuddly kid who's wormed his way into America's heart.
Hey, mister, where's the office of the president-elect?
There isn't one.
Yes, it's always one laugh after another, with Tom Daschle as Eddie Hassel.
This is the best healthcare plan ever, 'cause it's only 1 page long. double-spaced. Just sign here. We'll work out the details later.
Nancy Pelosi is the loving mother of the country.
Hey, Mom, can okay, never mind.
Harry Reid is the kindly old neighbor next door.
You tourists stink.
And Barack Obama as the Barry.
We will help people who haven't paid their mortgages by giving them another 90 days not to pay them. Blagojevich? Who's Blagojevich?
Leave it to Barry every day right here after Paulson and Frank, the odd couple. All across America, progressive teachers are helping children to sing alike and think alike. Now, you can get the album that started it all, Kid Songs of the Revolution.
These time-tested songs in the original German will bring our country's youth together to do great things. With songs like my favorite, One Leader Forever. Kids just can't stand still when they hear hope is in the air. They'll really be marching to a different drummer with the classic Change is Here.
Kid Songs of the Revolution, available at Acorn, Ahmadinejad.com, and teachers' unions everywhere.
Kids, tell your parents to get yours today before the economy collapses or healthcare implodes and the world burns up from global warming.
Kid Songs of the Revolution. Indoctrination hasn't been this much fun since 1933.
When I was 14...
Now I'm going to explain a little further what I mean about Obama maybe winning by losing this thing on the mandate. If he loses the mandate, but the rest of it's maintained, I can see how that's a big win for them, that they might not want anybody to think is a big win for them. I'll expand on all this when we get back. Sit tight, folks. Back before you know it.